What is it that makes us truly human? Is it our intellect, our ambitions, or perhaps something far deeper within us? Developing compassion is one of the most powerful and profound experiences we can undertake as individuals. Compassion isn't just a soft, fleeting emotion, it's a force that can reshape not only our lives but also the world around us. His Holiness the Dalai Lama has repeatedly reminded us of the incredible strength in compassion, describing it as much more than an emotional response. It's a way of being, a conscious choice that transforms our daily actions. Imagine the world we could create if we all nurtured this capacity within ourselves. Ready to make a difference? Subscribe channel now to join our compassionate community and spread kindness. The true meaning of compassion. Compassion is more than just feeling sorry for someone, it's about feeling with someone, truly recognizing their pain as if it were our own, and feeling moved to help. This emotional bridge connects us, reminding us that we are not isolated beings but part of an interconnected web of life. The Dalai Lama teaches that real compassion comes from a place of equality, it's about seeing ourselves in others. Deep down, we all want the same things: happiness, understanding, freedom from suffering. And in that commonality lies an incredible truth: we are all in this together. True compassion requires more than a fleeting moment of sympathy. It requires us to actively engage with the world around us, to open our hearts to the suffering of others, and to take meaningful action to alleviate that suffering. This depth of empathy is what allows us to connect with others on a profound level, breaking down the barriers that often keep us apart. Compassion is a reminder that every person we meet has their own story, their own struggles, and their own dreams. By recognizing this shared humanity, we begin to see the world not as a collection of isolated individuals, but as a vibrant, interconnected community. The practice of compassion also involves a willingness to be vulnerable. To truly empathize with others, we must be willing to open ourselves up to their pain and suffering. This can be uncomfortable, even painful, but it is also profoundly rewarding. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we create space for genuine connection and understanding. We begin to see that our own happiness is inextricably linked to the happiness of others, and that by lifting others up, we also lift ourselves. The importance of compassion for personal growth. What does it mean to truly grow as a person? So often, we focus on personal achievements, career success, material gain, accolades. But what about the growth of our hearts? Compassion enriches our lives, making us emotionally and psychologically stronger. When we truly care about the happiness of others, our own happiness deepens. It's a beautiful paradox: the more we give, the more we receive. And perhaps that's one of the great secrets of life, one that we often overlook in the hustle of our daily lives. Compassion teaches us to see beyond ourselves, to break free from the confines of self-centeredness, and to embrace the human family. When we practice compassion, we feel less anger, less jealousy, and less hatred. Imagine how liberating it would be to walk through life without those burdens weighing on us. When we recognize the shared humanity in others, we're less likely to lash out and more likely to reach out. Compassion can help us create relationships that are rich, fulfilling, and full of love, and isn't that what we all long for? Consider the impact of compassion on our mental and emotional well-being. Research has shown that individuals who cultivate compassion experience lower levels of anxiety and depression. Compassion helps us shift our focus away from our own problems and concerns, allowing us to see the bigger picture. When we extend kindness to others, we create a positive feedback loop that enhances our own sense of well-being. The act of helping others triggers the release of endorphins, often referred to as the feel-good hormones, which contribute to a sense of happiness and fulfillment. Moreover, compassion can help us develop emotional resilience. Life is full of challenges, and it is easy to become overwhelmed by the difficulties we face. However, when we approach these challenges with a compassionate mindset, we are better equipped to navigate them. Compassion allows us to be gentle with ourselves during times of struggle, rather than succumbing to self-criticism or despair. It encourages us to view setbacks as opportunities for growth, and to extend the same kindness to ourselves that we would offer to a friend in need. Compassion also plays a crucial role in our relationships. Whether it is with family, friends, or colleagues, compassion is the glue that holds our connections together. When we approach our relationships with a compassionate heart, we are more likely to listen actively, to understand the needs and perspectives of others, and to respond with empathy. This creates a foundation of trust and mutual respect, which is essential for any healthy relationship. By practicing compassion, we can transform our interactions with others, making them more meaningful and fulfilling. The ripple effect, from personal to global. Compassion is not just an individual journey, it's a seed that grows and blooms far beyond ourselves. Have you ever seen the way a single act of kindness can ripple outward, touching lives you may never even know? Compassion is the bedrock of strong relationships, resilient communities, and a peaceful world. It's about extending our circle of concern, first to our family, then to our community, and eventually to the entire world. The Dalai Lama often says that compassion is the foundation for global responsibility. When we understand our interconnectedness, we see how our actions, even the small ones, can impact people far away. Imagine a world where leaders, families, neighbors, and friends all approached each other with compassion. Conflicts would diminish, bridges would be built, and real understanding would flourish. Consider the story of a small act of kindness that had a profound impact. In a bustling city, a woman named Maria noticed an elderly man struggling to carry his groceries. Without hesitation, she offered to help him. The man, who had been feeling isolated and overwhelmed, was deeply touched by her kindness. He later shared this experience with his neighbors, inspiring them to be more attentive to the needs of others in their community. This simple act of compassion sparked a chain reaction, leading to the formation of a neighborhood support group that provided assistance to those in need. What began as a single gesture of kindness grew into a movement that transformed an entire community. This is the power of compassion. It creates ripples that extend far beyond the initial act. When we practice compassion, we inspire others to do the same. Our actions become a source of hope and inspiration, encouraging those around us to embrace a more compassionate way of living. In this way, compassion has the potential to create lasting change, not only in our own lives but in the world as a whole. Compassion in history and society. Throughout history, there have been countless examples of individuals who embodied the spirit of compassion and used it to create positive change. Consider figures like Mahatma Gandhi, Mother Teresa, and Martin Luther King Jr. These individuals dedicated their lives to serving others, often at great personal sacrifice. Their actions were driven by a deep sense of compassion and a desire to alleviate the suffering of others. They understood that true leadership is not about power or control, but about serving others with humility and love. Gandhi's philosophy of nonviolence, or ahimsa, was rooted in compassion. He believed that all people are interconnected, and that harming another is ultimately harming oneself. By approaching his adversaries with compassion, Gandhi was able to inspire change and bring about social and political transformation. His legacy serves as a powerful reminder of the potential for compassion to create positive change, even in the face of great adversity. Mother Teresa, known for her work with the poor and destitute in Kolkata, exemplified the power of compassion in action. She dedicated her life to caring for those who were often overlooked by society, offering them love, dignity, and hope. Her unwavering commitment to serving others was a testament to the transformative power of compassion. Mother Teresa once said, "Not all of us can do great things. But we can do small things with great love." This simple yet profound statement captures the essence of compassion. It is not about grand gestures, but about the small acts of kindness that we perform each day. Martin Luther King Jr. also embodied the spirit of compassion in his fight for civil rights. He believed in the power of love and nonviolence to overcome hatred and injustice. By approaching his opponents with empathy and understanding, King was able to bridge divides and inspire others to join his cause. His message of compassion and equality continues to resonate today, reminding us of the importance of treating all people with dignity and respect. These historical examples illustrate the profound impact that compassion can have on society. Compassion is not a passive emotion, it is a powerful force for change. When we approach the world with a compassionate heart, we have the ability to transform not only our own lives but the lives of those around us. We become agents of positive change, working to create a more just and equitable world. Practical steps to cultivate compassion. How do we nurture this quality within ourselves? It's a practice, much like exercising a muscle. Here are some practical steps inspired by the Dalai Lama's teachings. Meditative practice. Loving-kindness meditation is a powerful tool. Take a moment to sit quietly, sending positive thoughts to yourself, your loved ones, and then to people you may not know or even struggle with. This breaks down the barriers between us and them and fills your heart with warmth. Loving-kindness meditation, also known as metta meditation, involves silently repeating phrases such as, "May you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be safe." By focusing on these positive intentions, we cultivate a sense of compassion that extends beyond ourselves. Perspective taking. Put yourself in someone else's shoes. Really imagine what it would be like to face their struggles, their fears, and their hopes. This practice expands our empathy and reminds us of our shared humanity, the fact that, despite our differences, we all want the same fundamental things. Perspective taking can be especially powerful when applied to those with whom we have conflicts or disagreements. By making an effort to understand their point of view, we can find common ground and work towards resolution. Acts of altruism, acts of kindness are not only beneficial to others, but they nourish our souls as well. Whether it's helping a friend, volunteering, or offering a kind word, each act strengthens our capacity for compassion. Every small gesture adds to the collective effort of making the world a better place. Altruism is not about seeking recognition or reward, it is about acting from a place of genuine care and concern for others. When we engage in acts of altruism, we reinforce the belief that we are all connected and that our actions can make a difference. Mindfulness and emotional awareness. Practicing mindfulness helps us become more aware of our own emotions, as well as the emotions of others. Mindfulness allows us to notice our reactions, especially negative ones, and gives us the opportunity to respond with compassion rather than judgment. By developing emotional awareness, we can recognize when someone is suffering and respond in a way that alleviates rather than exacerbates their pain. Mindfulness also helps us to stay present in our interactions with others, allowing us to listen more deeply and respond more thoughtfully. Recognizing common humanity. His Holiness often speaks of recognizing our shared humanity as a key to cultivating compassion. Regardless of nationality, religion, or culture, all people have similar desires for happiness and freedom from suffering. By acknowledging this commonality, we can break down barriers that separate us and build meaningful connections based on mutual understanding and empathy. Recognizing our shared humanity also helps us to see beyond superficial differences and appreciate the inherent worth of every individual. Obstacles on the path. Of course, cultivating compassion is not without challenges. Fear, anger, and self-centeredness are major obstacles. Sometimes we fear that opening ourselves up to others' pain will make us vulnerable, and it will. But what if vulnerability is not a weakness but a strength? What if, in allowing ourselves to feel, we actually discover our greatest power? True compassion requires courage, a willingness to embrace the discomfort of stepping beyond our own needs. One of the most common obstacles to compassion is self-centeredness. It is natural to be focused on our own needs and desires, but this focus can prevent us from truly connecting with others. The Dalai Lama encourages us to practice selflessness and to shift our focus from I to we. By expanding our circle of concern to include others, we can begin to cultivate a more compassionate mindset. Another obstacle is anger. When we are angry, it is difficult to feel compassion for others. Anger can cloud our judgment and lead us to react in ways that are harmful to ourselves and others. The Dalai Lama teaches that practicing patience and forgiveness is essential for overcoming anger and creating space for compassion. By letting go of grudges and choosing to respond with kindness, we can break the cycle of negativity and create a more positive environment. Fear is another barrier to compassion. We may fear that showing compassion will make us appear weak or that it will leave us vulnerable to being taken advantage of. However, the Dalai Lama reminds us that true strength lies in our ability to be compassionate, even in the face of adversity. Compassion is not about allowing others to take advantage of us, it is about approaching the world with an open heart and a willingness to help others, even when it is difficult. The science of compassion. Modern science has also explored the benefits of compassion, and numerous studies have found that cultivating compassion has a positive impact on both mental and physical health. Research has shown that individuals who actively practice compassion tend to have lower levels of anxiety and depression. Compassion fosters positive emotions such as love and joy, which counteract the negative effects of stress and anxiety. By focusing on the well-being of others, we also reduce our own tendency to dwell on our problems. Compassion has also been linked to improved physical health. Studies have found that practicing compassion can lead to lower levels of inflammation and improved immune function. The act of helping others has been shown to reduce the levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, in the body. This reduction in stress can have a positive impact on overall health, contributing to a longer and healthier life. In addition to its health benefits, compassion also enhances resilience. People who cultivate compassion are more likely to respond to difficult situations with patience and understanding rather than with frustration or despair. This resilience not only benefits the individual but also has a positive impact on those around them. When we approach challenges with a compassionate mindset, we create an environment that is supportive and nurturing, allowing others to thrive as well. Compassionate leadership. The Dalai Lama also emphasizes the importance of compassionate leadership in addressing the challenges faced by the world today. Leaders, whether in politics, business, or community organizations, have the power to influence countless lives. When leaders act with compassion, they create policies and initiatives that prioritize the well-being of all people, particularly the marginalized and vulnerable. Compassionate leadership involves listening to the needs of others, making decisions that benefit the greater good, and acting with integrity. The Dalai Lama believes that leaders who cultivate compassion can help reduce inequality, resolve conflicts, and create a more just and peaceful society. Compassionate leaders are not driven by ego or personal gain. They are motivated by a genuine desire to serve others and to create positive change. Consider the example of Jacinda Ardern, the former Prime Minister of New Zealand, who demonstrated compassionate leadership in the face of crisis. Following the tragic Christchurch mosque shootings in 2019, Ardern responded with empathy and compassion, offering support to the victims and their families. She wore a headscarf as a sign of solidarity with the Muslim community and spoke out against hatred and division. Her compassionate response not only provided comfort to those affected but also inspired people around the world to embrace empathy and understanding. Compassionate leadership is not limited to political leaders, it can be practiced by anyone in a position of influence. Business leaders, educators, and community organizers all have the opportunity to lead with compassion and to create environments that foster well-being and connection. By prioritizing the needs of others and acting with kindness, compassionate leaders can create lasting positive change. Compassion in everyday life. Compassion is not reserved for extraordinary moments or for individuals in positions of power, it is something that we can all practice in our everyday lives. Small acts of kindness can have a profound impact on those around us. Whether it is offering a listening ear to a friend in need, helping a neighbor with their groceries, or simply smiling at a stranger, each act of compassion contributes to a more connected and caring world. One of the most powerful ways to practice compassion in everyday life is through active listening. In our fast-paced world, it is easy to become distracted and to listen only superficially. However, when we take the time to truly listen to others, we demonstrate that we value and care about their experiences. Active listening involves giving our full attention, asking questions to understand, and responding with empathy. By practicing active listening, we can create deeper connections and foster a sense of belonging. Another way to practice compassion is by being mindful of our words and actions. The way we speak to others can have a significant impact on their well-being. Words have the power to uplift or to hurt, and it is important to choose them carefully. By speaking with kindness and avoiding judgment, we can create an environment that is supportive and nurturing. Similarly, our actions can either contribute to the well-being of others or cause harm. By being mindful of how our actions affect those around us, we can make choices that are aligned with compassion. The role of self-compassion. While compassion for others is essential, it is equally important to cultivate self-compassion. Many of us are our own harshest critics, often treating ourselves with far less kindness than we would offer to others. The Dalai Lama teaches that self-compassion is not selfish, it is a necessary part of our well-being. When we are kind to ourselves, we are better able to extend that kindness to others. Self-compassion involves acknowledging our own suffering and responding with understanding and care. It means recognizing that we are human, that we make mistakes, and that we are deserving of love and kindness. When we practice self-compassion, we create a foundation of inner strength that allows us to navigate life's challenges with greater ease. We learn to treat ourselves with the same compassion that we would offer to a dear friend, and in doing so, we cultivate a sense of inner peace. One practical way to cultivate self-compassion is through self-compassionate journaling. This involves writing about our experiences, particularly those that are difficult or painful, in a way that is kind and non-judgmental. By expressing our emotions on paper and offering ourselves words of comfort and encouragement, we can begin to shift our inner dialogue towards one of compassion and understanding. This practice can help us to release negative self-judgment and to develop a more nurturing relationship with ourselves. Conclusion. Compassion is not something reserved for saints or philosophers, it's within each of us, waiting to be nurtured. It's the antidote to the disconnection and suffering we see around us. As the Dalai Lama wisely said, if you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion. So why not start today? Extend a hand, open your heart, and watch how the world changes, one kind action at a time. Together, we can create a more compassionate, connected world. The journey of developing compassion is not always easy, but it is one of the most rewarding paths we can take. It requires us to be vulnerable, to step outside of our comfort zones, and to open our hearts to the suffering of others. But in doing so, we discover a deeper sense of purpose and fulfillment. We come to understand that our own happiness is intimately connected to the happiness of others, and that by lifting others up, we also lift ourselves. So let us make a commitment to cultivate compassion in our daily lives. Let us be the ones who choose kindness over indifference, who choose understanding over judgment, and who choose love over fear. Let us be the ones who create ripples of compassion that extend far beyond ourselves, touching the lives of those we may never even meet. Together, we have the power to create a world that is more just, more peaceful, and more compassionate. And it all begins with a single, simple act of love.